we are looking very intently at a number of instances and individuals that are causing us great concern.
Our top story at 5, a rare insight into local FBI investigations. The special agent in charge in Seattle discusses terrorist threats here in our state. In light of the attack in San Bernardino last week and others across the country, the FBI is asking for the public's help in preventing the next act of terrorism.
King 5's Chris Ingalls has details on a Washington state man arrested with possible terror connections. But we begin with Alyssa Hahn, who has some shocking numbers released by the FBI today.
Lori, the numbers were surprising to all of us. FBI Seattle office says it's currently looking into more than 70 individuals in our state to see if they have possible domestic or international terrorist ties. And they also talked about active shooter situations today in light of the San Bernardino attacks.
There are a lot of them, not quite 100, but more than 70.
Seattle's FBI opened up today about investigations into Washington state residents with possible terrorist ties. The San Bernardino massacre has taught them they need more help from the community to prevent a similar attack. They called the public law enforcement's 12th man.
In active shooter situations, there was behavior that preceded the event, the act of violence, and that people were aware of these various behaviors. And for whatever reason, many times they don't turn that information over to law enforcement.
What keeps me up at night is not what I know, it's what I don't know.
Special Agent in Charge Frank Montoya Jr. admits when it comes to the threat of ISIS, they suspect the terrorist group is in communication with specific individuals in our state and are monitoring their behavior.
A sufficient number that we are very concerned.
The FBI also spoke of active shooter in situations, pointing to San Bernardino and Paris, where the first responders had to prioritize finding the shooters over helping the victims.
It felt odd to step past some of them, knowing that we had to find the gunman inside.
Agents say they're now trying to incorporate medical personnel to play an earlier role in these events to help bring people to safety. And the advice they give to private citizens?
We're pushing the model of run, hide, fight. So your first reaction should be to separate yourself as quickly as you can, run from that potential threat that could kill you. And if you can't, then your next option is to hide. And if those options are not available to you and you're in the immediate presence of a threat, your only option is to fight with any resources you have available.
The FBI pointed out today that domestic terrorism is a very big concern for them. My colleague Chris Ingalls joins us now with a Washington state man that they just took into custody. Chris.
You're right, Alyssa. This could be one of those very cases that they're talking about. Schuyler Barbeau will appear in Seattle federal court on Monday. His pro-gun, anti-government talk is all over social media. But that's not what got him in trouble. The FBI arrested him this week, accusing him of possessing an unregistered firearm. The Southern Poverty Law Center says these are photos of Barbeau, and his Facebook page includes several photos of firearms. The feds say he offered for sale a short-barreled AR-15, which they describe as an assault weapon, and that short barrel means the rifle must be registered. They say Barbeau also spoke with a confidential informant about, quote-unquote, lynching a judge and how he wanted his gun to be effective in a shootout with law enforcement. His supporters took to social media outraged by the arrest of a man they say is a former Marine and a patriot.
They're spending their assets and time focusing on individuals like us instead of going after the terrorists, the ones in our country out killing and slaughtering and butchering our own citizens in our country.
Barbeau is clearly connected to militia-type groups. Today, the Seattle FBI wouldn't say anything about the domestic terrorism component of this case, but it's clear that Barbeau has links to these anti-government groups that the feds have been watching. The Southern Poverty Law Center has been watching them, too, and on our 6:30 news here on King 5, we'll tell you about a standoff that made national news last year and how Southern Poverty Law Center believes Barbeau was there. I'm Chris Ingalls live in the King 5 newsroom.